Buddhist sermon on Poya Day is delivered by Venerable Maharagama Ananda Thera, Sandavimala Sanasuna, Valigampitiya, Pokunuvita.
නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. Dear devotees and Dhamma friends, now you are going to listen to the Durutu Full Moon Poya Day Dhamma Sermon broadcast by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation on behalf of the Durutu Full Moon Poya Day. And also I am going to relate a particular Dhamma discourse from Majjhima Nikaya as the base of this Dhamma sermon. Dhamma friends, before we go to the today's discourse, the Dhamma discourse, let us briefly examine what is the importance of Durutu Full Moon Poya Day and the significance of the same Poya Day to Sinhalese Buddhist or all the Buddhists in the world. Although there are several reasons of significance of this Poya Day, let us briefly examine three of them, Dhamma friends. As we know, the Buddhist literature says the Buddha's first visit to this island, to this sacred island, specifically to the city of Mahiyangane, had taken place on a Durutu Full Moon Poya Day. Therefore, it is very important. And also the construction of the very first pagoda in Sri Lanka, especially in Mahiyangane, by a certain deity called Sumanasaman Deviyo, we call in Sinhala, after depositing the Buddha's sacred relics in it, had occurred in a Durutu Full Moon Poya Day. Apart from that, Dhamma friends, it is said that that particular mentioned deity Sumanasaman Deviyo, or the deity Sumanasaman, became a stream entrant or a Sotapanna on a Durutu Full Moon Poya Day. Okay. Although there are some other reasons of significance of this Poya Day, let us briefly examine, actually as we briefly examine the important points of the Poya Day, let us move on to the today's Dhamma discourse. The name of this Dhamma discourse, Dhamma friends, is Vammika Sutta. Vammika in Pali language, it stands for the ant hill. In Sinhala we call Tumbasa. We know in Tumbasas or the ant hills, most probably there lives cobras. And Dhamma friends, when we go ahead with this discourse, you will understand what is the significance of choosing this Tumbasa by the Buddha for this discourse. So this discourse as a whole relates a beautiful story. And it is not only a story, but it is pregnant with most deep things, some deep insights of the Buddha's teaching. Therefore, Dhamma friends, you have to listen very carefully, word by word, because there lies a very important message to all of us as Buddhists. Okay, let us start the Dhamma discourse relating the story. According to this content of the story, Dhamma friends, there lived a particular disciple of the Buddha called Venerable Kumara Kassapa. When he was dwelling at the Andhaka or the blind men's grove in the particular area, it is said that a certain deity had appeared before him and related a certain kind of riddle to this Venerable Kumara Kassapa. What is the meaning of the word riddle, Dhamma friends? Riddle is like a puzzle, because at the very hearing of this that riddle, you would not understand the significance of it, because after realizing the meaning only you can understand the riddle. That is why we call them riddles. So this this deity, a Deviyo, a celestial being, he presented a particular riddle to this venerable monk. The commentary says, Dhamma friends, This deity was a anagami deity. Anagami means a non-returner, because he had a very high level of spiritual capacity. Then, what is this riddle? Let us examine what is this riddle. So, this celestial being, this deity, said this particular statement to Venerable Kumara Kassapa. What is this statement? He said, Dhamma friends, Bhikkhu, there is an ant hill which fumes by night and flames by day. And also there is a Brahmin and there is a wise man. This Brahmin tells this wise man, dear friend, take a knife and delve it with, take a knife and delve this ant hill with it. Delving means, Dhamma friends, digging. Then the Brahmin asked this man to take a knife and keep dwelling, keep digging this ant hill. Then, admiring this advice from the Brahmin, what did that wise man do? He took a knife and he kept digging this ant hill. Then what happened? Then this man, the wise man, first he saw a bar. You know what is a bar? Then what did the Brahmin say? The Brahmin asked that man to throw out that bar and delve further. Then what did he do? He threw out that bar and he kept digging. Then again the wise man saw a toad, or a toad is a frog-like animal, you know, Dhamma friends. Then the Brahmin again said, throw out that toad and you keep digging. Then this wise man again found a fork. You know what is a fork? A Y-shaped instrument. Then again the Brahmin said, dear friend, throw out that fork and you have to continue your digging. Then this wise man again saw a sieve. What is a sieve? A sieve is a strainer-like thing. It's like a strainer. Then again the Brahmin said, you have to throw away the strainer and you have to keep digging. Then what happened? Then while digging this anthill any further, this wise man saw a tortoise. Then again the Brahmin said, throw away the tortoise, dear friend, keep digging. Then the wise man again saw a butcher's knife and a block. We know what is a butcher's knife, and the block is the particular wooden block-like thing. Then we keep meat on that and we cut. That is a block. Then the Brahmin again said, dear friend, you have to throw away that butcher's knife and the block, and you have to keep digging, keep delving. Then again the wise man saw a piece of meat, Dhamma friends. Again the Brahmin said, dear friend, you have to throw away the meat and you have to keep digging further. Then lastly, this wise man saw what? This wise man saw a cobra. We know, Dhamma friends, cobras are dwelling normally. Their dwelling place is the tumbasa or the anthill. Then, unlike the other instances, this Brahmin said to this wise man, dear friend, leave the cobra. Don't throw the cobra away. Leave the cobra. Do not harm it with your knife. And honor the cobra. This is very strange thing, Dhamma friends. In all the other instances, the Brahmin wanted this wise man to throw all the other things away. But when upon meeting this cobra, this Brahmin said, you have to leave the cobra unharmed. Do not touch him. Do not harm it. And instead, you have to honor the cobra. Then having said that, the deity again said this part also, Dhamma friends. The celestial being told this Venerable Kumara Kassapa, Bhikkhu, this is a riddle. You should go to the Buddha and ask him about this riddle. As the Buddha tells you, so should you remember it. Because other than the Buddha or the disciple of the Buddha or one who has learned from them, I see no one in the world with its gods, its Maras, its Brahmas, in the generation with its recluses and Brahmins, its princesses and its people, whose explanation of this riddle might satisfy the mind. In other words, Dhamma friends, this deity said, there's no one except the Buddha or his disciple or any other person who has learned from them. There's no other person to sort out this riddle for you. They are the only competent people who can sort this out, who can explain this to you cleverly and accurately. Having said that, this deity disappeared on the spot. Then, having heard this particular riddle, Dhamma friends, this Venerable Kumara Kassapa directly went to the Buddha. And he related this story to the Buddha. How? Then he related all the things which took place there. And he raised a question from the Buddha as advised by this deity. He asked from the Buddha, Venerable Sir, I don't understand this riddle. What is this anthill? What is this fuming by night and flaming by day stands for? Who is that Brahmin? Who is that wise man he related to? And what is the knife and what is the delving of the knife? And what is the bar which the wise man found at first? And what is that toad or a frog-like animal? What is that fork? What does that sieve or the strainer stands for? What is that tortoise symbolize? What does that butcher's knife and the block symbolize? And what stands for the piece of meat? And finally, what is the meaning of meeting a cobra? You have to explain this to me, Venerable Sir. This Venerable Kumara Kassapa asked from the Buddha very kindly. Then the Buddha explained all these things to this Venerable Kumara Kassapa. Dhamma friends, the story says, after listening to this Dhamma sermon, the Venerable Kumara Kassapa became an Arahant. But let's see what is the explanation of the Buddha, Dhamma friends. From this point onwards, Dhamma friends, the dear devotees, you have to listen very carefully because this is the most deep part of this Dhamma sermon. This particular riddle exemplifies the Buddhist soteriology, the Buddhist path to liberation, step by step. Let's see how it goes. The Buddha says, Kumara Kassapa, this is the meaning of this riddle. The anthill symbolizes this body, the human body, which is material and which is made out of 4 great elements and procreated by parents, built up of boiled rice and porridge, which is impermanent, which is full of suffering, and which is soulless, and therefore the anthill is another name for your body. And what is the meaning of it fumes by night? It fumes by night means, when Kumara Kassapa, what one thinks by night based upon one's actions during the day. Because we tend to think about things that we have done in the daytime at night. It's like fuming. It's like projecting some smoke at night. Then what is the meaning of flaming by day? The Buddha says, the actions one undertakes during the day, during the daytime, by body, speech and mind, after thinking at night, is the flaming in the day. This is the meaning of fuming by night and flaming by day. Then who is this Brahmin? The Buddha said the Brahmin is no one but the Tathagata, the Buddha. And the wise man is the bhikkhu in higher training. We call them in Pali the Seka people. And what is this knife, Dhamma friends? The Buddha says, the knife is your noble wisdom, the panya. And delving, what is the digging? Digging is arousing the energy. We are using the wisdom and arousing the energy. Then while using the wisdom and arousing of energy, then we find the first barrier. What is the first barrier? The bar. The bar symbolizes the ignorance. And then we meet a toad or a frog. The frog symbolizes our anger and irritations. We have to remove the anger and irritations. And then we find, after upon removal of this anger and irritations, we find a fork, which is doubt. And after that, we find a sieve or a strainer. Strainer symbolizes, Dhamma friends, the five hindrances we call the Pancha Nivarana in English. What are the Pancha Nivarana? First is the Kama Chanda, the sensual desire. And the second is the Vyapada, the ill will. Third is the Tina Midda, the sloth and torpor. The fourth is the Uddacha Kukucha, the restlessness and remorse. And the Vichikicha is the last, which symbolizes the skeptical doubt. Then these are the five hindrances. Then what does this tortoise stand for, Dhamma friends? The Buddha says the tortoise is nothing. It symbolizes five aggregates, to which we call Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara and Vijnana. In English we call them forms, sensations, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, perceptions, and Sankara, karma formations, and Vijnana, the consciousness. And what does the butcher's knife and the block stands for, Dhamma friends? The Buddha says they stand for the five chords of sensual pleasures, to which we call forms, sounds, odors, flavors, and tangibles. And what does this piece of meat stand for, Dhamma friends? In all the Dhamma discourses throughout this Tripitaka, the Buddha has referred to the Kama Vastu, or the delight and lust, to this piece of meat. So in the same way, the Buddha relates the delight and lust to the piece of meat. And lastly, the Buddha says, what does this cobra stand for? The cobra is no one but the bhikkhu who has destroyed the taints, who had destroyed the asravas, who had destroyed the fetters in his mind. In other words, the arahant. Then what is the significance of this riddle, Dhamma friends? So this starting from the anthill until we meet the cobra, this particular riddle exemplifies, illustrates the soteriological path to the Nibbana, the supreme bliss of Nibbana. How come, Dhamma friends? Because the anthill is like our body, and it fumes by night and flames by day. There are so many worries that goes through our body into day-to-day life. We tend to think about all the difficulties we have undergone in the daytime at night. It's like smoking away from your body. And flames by day. By thinking that way, you are acting through thought, word and deed at daytime. And the Brahmin symbolizes the Buddha, who advises the wise man. The wise man is a person who hears, who listens to the Buddha, and who tries to achieve the emancipation. And the knife is like wisdom. Wisdom is a tool, Dhamma friends. You have to use it correctly, arouse with the energy. We call the virya in Pali. And little by little, there comes some obstacles in our path to liberation. Then one by one, you have to throw away these, you have to evacuate, you have to eradicate these barriers. What are the barriers? First one is the ignorance, which symbolizes a bar. After dispelling the ignorance, then we meet the barrier which is called anger and irritations. Then we have to get rid of anger and irritations. Then we meet a very powerful barrier which is called doubt. It symbolizes a fork. Then we come across a sieve which is like the five hindrances. Five hindrances are the things that we obstructs our path to Nibbana. And also the tortoise, that we know that tortoise have a head and four limbs. It symbolizes the five aggregates, which are Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara and Vijnana. Here, Dhamma friends, actually the five aggregates symbolizes the five aggregates of attachment, Pancha Upadana Kanda in Pali. And the butcher's knife and the block, this is a very important simile, my friends, important reference, important symbolism, because the butcher's knife is like the objects of the five sense bases, and the block is like the five sense bases. The ignorant man, he becomes sandwiched between these sense bases and the sense objects. So we have to get rid of these five chords of sensual pleasures if you really want to achieve the Nibbana. And then the piece of meat, the delight and lust. If you follow this delight and lust, you will fed up one fine day, because there's no limit, there's no limiting of this delight and lust. Therefore, Buddha asked us to get rid of this delight and lust even further. And lastly, we meet the cobra. The cobra is like a bhikkhu who has destroyed all the above mentioned taints, the fetters, the mental defilements, Dhamma friends. So there's another important message we come across from this riddle. What is that, Dhamma friends? If we have compared the ant hill to a tumbasa, or a particular make of which is made out of the clay, a tumbasa, when we know this riddle says the cobra lies inside the ant hill, it's like we know that the nibbana and the emancipation we find nowhere but in this fathom-long body itself. This is another message the Buddha gives. You can't find nibbana in the sky. You can't find nibbana in any other place. But if you are a courageous disciple of mine, then you will find the nibbana in this fathom-long body. Just like we find the cobra in this ant hill. So this is another beautiful reference of this thing. So from this Dhamma discourse, what is the message that we hear, that we come across, Dhamma friends? The Buddha says, just like the person referring to this related to this story, so you have to go little by little toward the Nibbana. So after listening to this, as I told you, Dhamma friends, Venerable Kumara Kassapa became an Arahant, the enlightened being, as a result of hearing this. Therefore, Dhamma friends, we don't have much time to extend this Dhamma sermon. Therefore, let us recall what we have learned. We learned what is the meaning of this riddle, and we learned how we should go, how we should eradicate all this defilement little by little, just as the wise man did upon the request of the Brahmin. So therefore, Dhamma friends, let us transfer all the merits that we have accrued, myself by preaching and yourself by hearing, all the Dhamma, all the meritorious deeds, all the kusala kamma that we have accrued, let us transfer to all the celestial beings, to all the deity, to all the divinity of this world, who would protect the country, the Buddha Sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha, and all of us. And may they rejoice in these merits, and may they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana one fine day. And also, Dhamma friends, let us transfer all the merits that we have accrued to all the departed relatives of us, including all the war heroes, all the fallen war heroes who have sacrificed their life for the territorial integrity of this country. And also, Dhamma friends, as the living beings of this planet, we also need these merits. Therefore, let us transfer all these merits to ourselves, and let us rejoice in this Dhamma, let us rejoice in these skillful deeds, and let us try our best to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in no time. May the noble triple gem bless you. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu tvang sada. May the noble triple gem bless you. Namo Buddhaya.
Buddhist sermon on Poya Day was delivered by Venerable Maharagama Ananda Thera, Sandavimala Sanasuna, Valigampitiya, Pokunu Vita.